My fiancé is an adult who fears clowns. He cheated on me, so I turned his whole house into a circus before leaving. Now his life is mess. Hey Reddit, this happened a while ago, and I figured some people might get a laugh out of it. I was engaged to someone who turned out to be a serial cheater. When I found out, I decided I wasn't going to leave quietly. My brother and I came up with a plan that hit him right where it hurt, his biggest fear. Here's how it went down, step by step. I didn't meet him on some dating app or at a bar. It was through a friend, one of those casual get-togethers where nobody's really expecting anything to happen. My friend was hosting a small cookout in the backyard, maybe 10 people there. We're all sitting around, eating, talking, and this guy walks in with another mutual friend. He's not the kind of guy that turns heads like a model, but he had that easy confidence. Good smile, decent shape, dressed normal but neat. He was funny too, not loud or obnoxious. Just the kind of person who knows how to keep a conversation going. We started talking about something simple, TV shows, maybe football. I honestly can't remember the exact topic, but it clicked fast. He was easy to talk to, and I liked that he wasn't trying too hard. He made people laugh without making it all about himself, which is rare. At some point during the night, we ended up off to the side, just talking one-on-one. I found out he had a steady job in IT, owned his own house, and was into running and cooking. Basically all the stuff that makes you think, okay, this guy has his life together. After that night, he got my number from our mutual friend. A few days later, he texted me. The first date was simple. Coffee and a walk in the park. Nothing over the top, but it felt easy. We talked about family, work, music, random stuff. I liked that he asked questions and actually listened. He wasn't flashy, but he came across as reliable. The next few weeks, we saw each other more often. Dinners at local restaurants, movie nights at his place, even grocery shopping together. It all felt very grown up compared to guys I dated before. He had his own place, and it was neat without being sterile. Family pictures, some old posters, nothing weird. He cooked a lot, which was a plus. There's something about a guy making dinner for you that makes you think, maybe this could be serious. By the 3-month mark, we were basically spending most of our time together. He met some of my friends, I met some of his. Everyone seemed to like him. My brother, who's usually skeptical of guys I date, even said, he seems all right. That's high praise coming from him. A few months later, things started moving fast. He invited me to stay over more often, and by around 8 months in, we were practically living together. My stuff slowly made its way into his house. A few drawers, some bathroom things, eventually half the closet. He didn't mind, and it felt natural. We split groceries, cooked together, did the weekend errands like a team. He had some quirks. Always kept his phone on silent, didn't talk much about his job outside of "it's busy," but nothing alarming at the time. Then came the proposal. It wasn't a movie scene, but it was nice. We were at his place, just a regular night. He made dinner, opened a bottle of soda, and after we ate, he pulled out a ring. He didn't make a big speech, just said something like, "I love you, and I want us to build a life together." I said yes. It felt right. The engagement stage was good for a while. We started making loose plans. Nothing set in stone, just talking about venues, dates, family lists. He was still the same guy. Funny, organized, steady. I moved more of my things in. We even started talking about maybe renting out my old place. Looking back, those early months were the kind of relationship everyone wants at first. Stable, fun, and comfortable. We laughed a lot, went on weekend trips, even did the whole couple's cooking class thing once. My friends joked that I'd finally picked a winner. Even my parents, who aren't easy to impress, liked him. There were no real arguments, nothing serious enough to make me doubt him. At least, not yet. The only small things I noticed were the little habits that didn't mean much at the time. His phone always faced down. He was protective of it, and he took a lot of work calls in another room. I thought it was just work stress, or maybe he liked privacy. I didn't push it. When you're in it, you see what you want to see. And back then, all I wanted to see was the guy who made me laugh and asked me to marry him. The first few months after the engagement were smooth. We were busy with work, but we'd spend evenings cooking or watching shows together. Then small things started popping up that I brushed off at first. The first thing I noticed was his phone. He'd always kept it on silent vibrate when we were together, which didn't seem like a big deal at first. But over time, it started to feel deliberate. If we were watching TV and his phone lit up, he'd tilt it away. If it buzzed, he'd grab it quick and read the message without saying anything. I told myself it was work, or maybe something private he wasn't ready to share. Then came the late nights. He had projects at work that apparently needed him to stay late or log in from home. Some nights he'd leave after dinner, saying he had to meet someone from the team. He'd come back tired, claiming things were hectic. He never seemed shady about it. He was calm, no obvious signs of lying. But something about it felt off. I didn't say much, but I did mention it to my brother once. He's blunt and protective, and when I told him about the late nights, he just said, "People make time for what matters. Keep your eyes open." And I laughed it off because I didn't want to think bad of the guy I agreed to marry. Things escalated a little at a family dinner. We had my parents and my brother over at his house for a weekend barbecue. Everything was going fine until his phone buzzed while he was flipping burgers. He didn't check it right away, but when he did, he turned his back to us. My brother caught it instantly and gave me a look. Later that night, after everyone left, my brother texted me, "That guy's hiding something. Don't ignore it." A week later, another small thing happened. I was doing laundry and found a receipt in his pocket for a restaurant I'd never heard of. The date was a night he'd told me he was working late. I asked casually about it, and he said it was a client dinner. It sounded reasonable, but the restaurant was an expensive spot we'd never been to together. The little things started to add up. Once, we were watching a movie, and his phone lit up with a notification. It wasn't a text, but an Instagram message preview. I only saw a few words, but it said, "Last night was," before he swiped it away. He didn't see me notice, and I didn't say anything right then. I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt, but it was getting harder. I even mentioned it to my mom during a call. She didn't push, but said, "Honey, if you're already uneasy, that's not something to ignore." She told me to trust my instincts. One evening, we were at dinner with some friends, and his phone buzzed again. He excused himself to the bathroom and was gone for a while. My brother was there too, and when he came back, my brother straight up asked him, "Everything good at work? You're on that phone a lot." My fiancé smiled like nothing was wrong and said, "Yeah, just busy." The rest of the night was fine, but my brother didn't drop it. Later he told me, "You can do better than a guy who acts like his phone is the FBI." The tipping point was small but stuck with me. We were cleaning up one weekend, and he asked me to grab something from his office. His laptop was open. I wasn't snooping, but a message popped up on the screen. It was from someone I didn't know, and it wasn't work talk. I couldn't read much, but it looked personal, not professional. At this stage, I wasn't ready to accuse him. I didn't want to start a fight over something I couldn't fully prove. But I was paying attention now. I started noticing patterns. When his mood shifted, when he took calls, when he stepped outside. By the end of that month, my trust was shaky. We were still going through the motions, planning things, cooking, laughing, but I was watching more closely. My brother asked me again if I was sure about the engagement. I told him I needed to be sure before making any moves. It was clear something was under the surface. I just hadn't caught it yet. But now, I was ready to find out. Then, while he showered before work, I finally opened the phone. I know it's not something you're supposed to do, but I needed answers. The screen wasn't locked because he trusted me, or thought I wouldn't look. The first thing I checked was his messages. Nothing too obvious there, but then I saw the Instagram DMs. Multiple conversations with different women. Some were just flirty, some were more. Screenshots of dates, compliments, plans to meet. One woman even sent a selfie at what looked like a hotel. I scrolled fast, took pictures with my own phone. My hands were shaking, but I was calm on the outside. I didn't want to leave it at just DMS, so I checked his email. Same story, confirmations for dinners, little "can't wait to see you again" notes. The worst part? It wasn't one mistake, it was patterns. Same names showing up, same casual tone like this was normal for him. He had a small folder of photos saved too. Nothing extreme, but enough to know these weren't work friends. I didn't confront him that morning. I wanted to be smart. I called my brother and told him everything. He went silent, then said, "You're moving out." No question. He asked for proof, so I sent him the screenshots. He didn't even try to calm me down. He just said, "Good thing he's going on that business trip next week. We'll get you out, and we'll make sure he doesn't forget it." For the next few days, I acted like nothing was wrong. It wasn't easy. Every smile, every dinner felt fake, but I needed time. I watched him text at night, step outside for calls, and it was almost funny now. He thought he was being clever. 2 days before his trip, another slip. We were at the store together, and his phone buzzed. I caught a glimpse of the preview. "I'll miss you." It wasn't a coworker. He tilted the screen away. I didn't react. My brother later said, "It's almost too easy. He's sloppy." When the day of the trip came, he left early in the morning. Quick goodbye kiss, bag in hand, like nothing was wrong. The second his car was out of the driveway, I called my brother. He showed up with his truck and a grin. "Time to clean house," he said. Before moving my stuff, I took one more quiet look through his things. I wanted to make sure I wasn't overreacting, even though I already knew. I opened his laptop. Same messages synced to his email, clear as day, as different names, same tone. He'd been meeting up with women while we were engaged. Some messages even mentioned nights when he said he was working late. I packed fast, box by box, and my brother carried things to his truck. It didn't take long because we were focused. I wasn't just leaving, I was done. Before we finished, my brother said, "Want to make this memorable?" That's when he brought up the clown thing. He reminded me that months earlier, I joked about how my fiancé feared clowns, something he'd mentioned once when a random commercial came on TV. He froze up and changed the channel. And when I asked, he admitted clowns made his skin crawl. I'd laughed at the time, but now it was fuel. My brother's grin got wider. Oh, this is going to be good. This was the plan. Step 1, get my stuff out. Step 2, turn his safe, boring house into a clown-themed nightmare. My brother owns a small print shop, which meant unlimited access to high-quality prints. Within a few hours, she was dropping off supplies. Glossy prints, cheap frames, tape, laminating sheets. I didn't feel guilty. He'd cheated, lied, and made me plan a future with someone I didn't even know. This was my line. He crossed it, and now I was done being quiet. By the time he got on that plane, the plan was set. My things would be out. His house would look the same on the outside, but inside, it would be a circus. Moving my stuff out was fast. We worked like a team. My brother carried boxes, I packed the smaller things. Each load to the truck was quick, but with every trip back inside, we started planting the clowns. At first, it was funny, swapping out the framed photos on the shelves and tables. But then it got creative. We didn't just hang them on walls. We slid laminated faces under the toilet lid, so when he went to lift it, he'd get a surprise. We taped a few under the glass shelves in the fridge, behind the milk and juice. His silverware drawer, full of grins. Underwear drawer, covered. Even the attic ladder got a clown taped to the underside, so it would swing down in his face. My brother was enjoying this way too much. He'd stop every now and then just to laugh. Man, when he gets home, he's going to think the house is possessed. We also hid his computer. He kept it in his office. So I changed the wallpaper to a giant clown face looped via a startup script. Nothing else. Just a big, grinning, close-up clown. My brother went one better. He grabbed some of his DVDs, swapped the discs inside with burned clown clips, and put them back in their cases. Originals were fine. We stored them safely in the basement, but they were now surrounded by giant clown posters. We weren't done. In the basement, my brother set up a small plug-in motion sensor linked to a cheap speaker. When triggered, it played a faint clown laugh. Not loud enough to cause trouble, but enough to make him unable to sleep the night. By the time the sun started to go down, my things were gone, and his house looked normal at a glance, but was loaded with traps. Every open door, every drawer, every casual movement was going to remind him that he'd messed up. Then I wrote one note. Nothing dramatic, just, "I know about your secret lovers. I'm done. I guess that's what you get for clowning around on your girl. And one last thing. Enjoy your little circus." It sat on the kitchen table, where he couldn't miss it. My brother shook his head and said, "Imagine this guy coming home tired, thinking he's just going to heat up some leftovers, and then boom, Ronald McDonald staring at him from the fridge." I laughed, but he wasn't wrong. The fridge had a laminated clown taped to the inside door, another right on top of the butter tray. We decided to do one last sweep to make sure we hadn't missed anything. This was less about being thorough and more about entertaining ourselves. My brother opened the toilet lid and we both started laughing. "This one's gonna ruin his night," he said. The underside had a big clown face, bright red nose, teeth showing. He also checked the attic pull-down ladder where we'd taped another clown, and the basement sensor that would trigger the laugh. Everything was set. On the way out, he spotted his gym bag hanging in the hallway. "We almost forgot this one," he said. He pulled it down, unzipped it, and slid a small photo inside the inner pocket. Imagine him reaching for a towel and finding that. We didn't drive off right away. My brother insisted we load my things into storage first. "Better to get your stuff completely clear so you never have to step back in that clown house," he said. It took us about an hour, and the whole time we kept throwing around sarcastic one-liners. "Bet he'll find the one in the underwear drawer right when he's trying to look impressive. The basement sensor's gonna get him. Yet, mark my words, he's gonna run upstairs like a kid." For the first time in weeks, I smiled for real. By the time everything was packed and moved, I removed the engagement ring and put it in my pocket. There was no reason to keep it. We loaded the last boxes into my brother's truck and locked the storage unit. From there, we drove to a local jeweler that bought gold and diamonds. The shop was small, with glass counters displaying rings and watches. A man behind the counter asked what we had. I handed him the ring. He examined it with a small magnifier, weighed it on a scale, and typed numbers into a calculator. He told us the offer. It was less than retail value, but fair enough for an immediate sale. I agreed. He counted the bills out loud, placed them in an envelope, and handed it to me. My brother took the envelope, tapped it on the counter, and said, "Payment for services rendered. Tonight, we feast." We walked out without discussing it. The money went into the truck's glove compartment. On the way back, we stopped at a grocery store to pick up steaks, bread, and sides. Dinner wasn't fancy, but it was good. His wife joined in and asked about the whole thing. When we told her about the motion sensor laugh, she nearly cried laughing. "That's evil," she said. My brother grinned. "Not evil. Educational." While we ate, my phone stayed quiet. I knew he was still on his trip, but part of me couldn't stop picturing the moment he'd come home. We joked about it like we were planning a movie scene. He's gonna walk in all confident, thinking nothing's wrong, and then bam, clown invasion. Bet he doesn't even make it to the kitchen before something freaks him out. He's probably gonna call you names, but deep down, you'll know he's sleeping with the lights on. After dinner, we drove past his street, just for the laugh of knowing what was waiting for him. We didn't stop, didn't even slow down, but it felt good knowing the house he thought was his safe zone was now something else entirely. By the time he got home, I was already in my own place. My phone lit up around midnight. The first text just said, "What the hell is wrong with you?" I stared at it, smiled, and turned my phone over. Not my problem anymore. An hour later, "This isn't funny." Then, "Are you insane?" I screenshotted them and sent them to my brother. His response, "Stage 1 panic achieved." The next morning, I woke up to a small novel on my screen. He went from angry to entitled in record time. "You had no right to touch my things. I could call the cops for this. You're a psycho." I just laughed. My brother said, "He's bluffing. No guy's going to walk into a police station and admit his ex scared him with clown pictures." Later that day, I got the best update yet. A mutual friend texted me, "Did you do something to his house? He's losing it." Apparently, he came home late, saw the first clown photo, and figured it was some kind of joke. Then he went room to room and found more. He tried to tear them down, but every time he thought he'd cleared a space, there was another one. The attic ladder? He pulled it down, and a clown face flipped down with it. My friend said he swore so loud the neighbors heard. The basement? He didn't even make it to the bottom step. That motion sensor laugh triggered, and he bolted upstairs like a kid. And then there was the toilet. Poor guy just wanted to pee. Lifted the seat, and there it was. A big laminated clown staring up at him. He dropped the lid and backed out like it was alive. The messages kept coming all day. Now they were angry and whiny. "You humiliated me. Grow up. You're going to regret this." I read them all out loud to my brother while he grilled lunch. "Regret what? Decorating?" he said. "He should thank us. His place looks better." The best part? He couldn't even throw all of it away at once. We'd hidden stuff too well. I heard from the same friend that he found clowns in his gym bag, his briefcase, even inside his fridge behind the milk. He tried to wipe his computer desktop and couldn't figure out why the wallpaper kept showing the same creepy clown until he reset it. He even checked his DVDs because half of them played clown clips instead of his movies. By the third day, his tone changed. The angry texts slowed down, and he started slipping into guilt trips. "I loved you. I don't know why you had to do this. You're so immature. I made a mistake, but this is cruel." I almost responded, but my brother said, "Leave him on red. Nothing's worse for his ego than silence." A week later, the clown invasion was still haunting him. Another friend told me he'd started crashing at a buddy's place. Apparently, he didn't want to be home alone. The motion sensor laugh in the basement? That one really got to him. He turned the power off to that floor for a while. Then came the rumor that made me laugh the hardest. Therapy. My friend said, "Yeah, man. He told me he booked therapy sessions. Said he's jumpy now and can't deal with random images." I nearly spit out my coffee. The idea of him sitting in a chair, explaining to a stranger that his ex filled his house with clowns because he cheated, it was perfect. And still, he wouldn't shut up. He tried to play victim, telling people I overreacted. But the problem was, he couldn't really tell the whole story without sounding pathetic. How do you say, "My ex-fiancé left me and filled my house with my biggest fear," without getting laughed at? One friend even sent me a screenshot of a group chat. Someone wrote, "Hey, did you find any clowns today?" Another replied, "Dude's got PTSD from party balloons now." Brutal, but accurate. The last text I ever got from him came about 2 weeks later. "Congratulations. You got what you wanted. I hope you're happy." I read it once, deleted it, and blocked his number. My brother said, he thinks that was the last word. Let him have it. I was happy. Not because of the texts or the therapy or the gossip, but because I got out on my terms. I moved my life, cleaned my hands of the whole mess, and left him in a house that reminded him every day that he wasn't half as clever as he thought. He cheated and thought he'd get away with it. Instead, he got a circus. After I blocked his number, things got really quiet on my end. For him, though, apparently it was chaos. From what I heard, he tried to spin the whole thing like he was some poor guy whose crazy ex lost her mind. He told people I was unstable, vengeful, and immature. The problem? He left out one key detail. He was a serial cheater. Some friends already knew, and others found out because people talk. So while he's there whining about clown photos, they're whispering, "Didn't he sleep with 3 different women while engaged?" Mutual friends started messaging me saying things like, "I didn't think he was like that," and "Good for you for leaving." The best one? Someone sent me, "He's mad because you played smarter than he did." That one made me grin. It got even better. Another buddy of his told me he was still finding clowns weeks later. Apparently, one was taped behind a kitchen cabinet, another was under the bed slats, and one was stuck inside his car visor. Every time he thought he was done, he'd find another. Someone joked with him, "Man, she turned your whole house into a boss level." Then we met him. It was about 3 weeks after I'd moved out. My brother and I were grabbing lunch at a small burger spot near my old neighborhood. Nothing dramatic. We were sitting by the window, eating, laughing about something stupid. I was mid-story when I saw him walk in. The look on his face when he spotted us was priceless. His eyes widened, then narrowed like he'd been waiting for this moment. He walked straight over, no hesitation. My brother leaned back, already grinning like a kid watching a fight about to break out. "Wow," he said, standing at the edge of our table. "You've got some nerve." I put my fries down and looked at him. "Hi to you too. Nice haircut." "Don't play cute," he snapped. "You think what you did was funny?" My brother spoke up before I could. "Funny? Dude, it was art. You were the one starring in it." He turned to my brother. "Stay out of this." My brother leaned forward, elbows on the table. "Nah, see, that's where you're wrong. I carried half those boxes and half those clown pictures. If anyone deserves credit, it's me." The guy actually laughed, but it was that angry, fake laugh. "You two are insane. Do you know what you did to me? My house is wrecked, my stuff is trashed." "Wrong," I cut in. "Nothing was trashed." He shook his head. "You humiliated me. Everyone's talking about it. Do you know how childish this makes you look?" My brother snorted. "Childish? Coming from the guy who cheated on his fiancé with a whole roster. Please." His face turned red. "That's none of your business." "It became our business when she was packing her stuff while you were off playing Mr. Eligible Bachelor," my brother said. "You got caught. Take the L prime." The guy's hands were clenched, but he was also shifting his weight like he couldn't stand still. "You think this is some kind of game? You don't know what you've done to me? I can't even..." He stopped himself. "What? Can't even sleep at night? Can't even look at your own bathroom? Or is it the attic? That one probably got you good," I said. I couldn't help it. "Shut up," he snapped, louder than he probably meant to. People at nearby tables glanced over. My brother raised an eyebrow. "Careful, big guy. You don't want to make a scene in front of the kids' menu." He took a deep breath and lowered his voice, but he was still shaking. "This isn't a joke. You went too far. I had to see someone, okay? I can't even relax in my own house." "You mean therapy?" I asked, tilting my head. "Good. Maybe start with why lying and cheating was easier than being honest. The clowns were just decoration. The look he gave me could have burned holes in the table. You're messed up. You ruined everything." "No, you ruined everything," I said calmly. "I just made sure you remembered it." He pointed at me like he wanted the last word. "You think you're some kind of hero? You're pathetic." My brother laughed so hard he had to put his drink down. "Hero? Number, she's just smarter than you. That's what's killing you, isn't it? Not the clowns, not the pictures. The fact that she walked out, and you've been chasing your tail ever since." "Careful," he said, his voice tight. "I could make this ugly." "Man, you're already there," my brother said. "Your reputation's toast. Everyone knows what you did, and you can't even spin it without sounding like a punchline. Want advice? Stop talking. The more you do, the worse you look." He stood there, breathing hard, but he didn't have a comeback. The panic was all over his face, even if he wanted to act tough. I picked up my drink and said, "Listen, you cheated, you lied, I left. You got clowns, end of story. Move on, or don't. Makes no difference to me." He muttered something under his breath and turned to leave. My brother couldn't resist. "Hey, check your gym bag before you go. Might be a little friend waiting for you." He didn't turn around, just walked out stiff, shoulders tight, like the whole place was watching. And they were. My brother raised his glass. to Operation Pennywise, still undefeated. I clinked mine against his. And to grown men afraid of paper and ink. What really sealed his image, though, was how he carried himself after. He didn't just stay quiet and move on. No, he went full jerk mode. He'd show up to group events, drop little insults about me, act like he was some prize I'd lost. One friend told me, he said, "She'll regret it. Nobody's going to deal with her attitude." Hearing that made me roll my eyes so hard I thought they'd get stuck. The truth was, I wasn't even mad anymore. I was free. My stuff was out, and I was doing fine. I'd turned what could have been a heartbreak into a story people were laughing about. I was working, hanging out with friends, buying new things for my place, and not thinking about him unless someone brought him up. When they did, it was always the same. "He's so dramatic. Still talking about clowns? He's salty because you outsmarted him." Even his own buddies started teasing him. Someone sent me a screenshot from a group chat. One guy wrote, "Hey, seen any balloons lately?" Another, "Careful, she might send the whole circus." Brutal. But when you cheated, and though you're untouchable, you earned it. Meanwhile, I didn't need to say much. I just kept things moving. Sold a few more things I didn't need, bought some furniture for my new place, went out with friends. Every time someone asked how I was doing, I'd shrug and say, "Better than him." And they'd laugh, because they knew exactly what I meant. I never had to explain myself, never had to defend my actions. I didn't scream, I didn't beg, I didn't make scenes. I just walked out, left him surrounded by his worst fear, and let the rest of it take care of itself. The fact that he couldn't stop talking about it was proof enough that it worked. What I liked most was how much it flipped the power. He thought he could lie and cheat and I'd never know. He thought he was smooth. Instead, he became the guy everyone joked about. The man scared of clown pictures. The grown adult who had to go to therapy because his fiancé dumped him. The jerk who lost the only person who actually cared enough to give him a chance. Sometimes friends ask me if I regret it, or if I'd do anything differently. Nope. If anything, I'm glad I kept it harmless but unforgettable. I didn't trash his things. I didn't ruin his career. I didn't even take everything that could have been mine. I just left a message he'll never forget. The last update I ever got was months later. Someone said he moved some furniture and found another clown picture stuck behind a drawer. His reaction? He cursed, ripped it up, and said, "I hate her." I laughed when I heard that. Hate is just another way of saying you can't stop thinking about someone. So yeah, he's probably still mad. Probably still telling anyone who will listen that I'm crazy. Maybe still sitting on that therapist's couch, blaming everyone but himself. Doesn't matter. I don't care. Because while he's stuck in his own circus, I walked out, calm and smiling, and never looked back.